Hello everyone. This is Mohsin from ENDRIME. Thank you for joining us. We've got Gabby, Chloe, and Sabine, and Sue Barrett for joining us. This is actually regarding the Denim Innovation Project between Ravensbourne and Kingpins in its 5th year now. And let's just begin, and let's just show the denim industry what we've been doing and how exciting it is. I'm going to share a presentation now. So this project's extremely unique because it's in its fifth year, and each year, and I've been involved with it from the actual beginning, and it's been really fun. But each year it's got bigger and bigger and bigger. And for the last 2 years, Kingpins have been sponsoring it, and they've been the main sponsors. And some of the awards have been that students have gone to New York and Amsterdam and presented their work to the industry, which is really unique. This year, or actually 2019, we did a 10-week project. It started in October and it ended just before Christmas, and it's between three different courses. But the amazing thing is, not only was it sponsored by Kingpins, it was also sponsored by many mills as well. So we had 10 sales sponsored us. We had Genealogia, Olah, Bossa, Cone, Candiani, Grabo, Artistic, Hewitt, 496 Fabric Lab, Neela. All the trims were sponsored by YKK, and we had Sue Barrett and myself mentoring. But the amazing thing is also we also had Kingpins helped us do their Transformers event at our university as well. So just a little recap. We got Gurmit who's a course leader of fashion. We got Gabby, who's joined us here from fashion buying. We got Sabine also from fashion accessories, textile futures. We got Chloe, who helped us put together some of the really important Transformers Ed conference, which is really cool. And then the two industry supports were myself, Mohsin, and Sue, who's joined us as well. So as I said, this was a really unique project. Most denim courses, and I'm involved with many, the denim modules aren't very long. They last for probably about 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks if you're lucky. You're lucky to get one industry person to come in, and we had a number of them come in over the 10 weeks. And not only that, we were sponsored by amazing fabric mills, and so much was supported on this course. And not only that, it's 3 different courses that joined forces over this 10 weeks. I don't know, Gabby, you want to jump in and say anything about it?
Definitely. So I think the key point which you said is about the collaboration across the 3 courses. It's year 2 students. So we have 100 students across the 3 courses, with Sabine and Gurmit and myself running that. So it's a unique project also within Ravensbourne as well. And it does give all of the students an insight into how each other industry specialism would work actually in the industry. So the design students get to see how the buyers and merchandisers and the marketeers would work, and then the buyers get to see how the designers work and how important and how their skill and craft is so important to our industry.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. It's got better and better every year, and I got so excited, especially after the 2nd year and 3rd year, that I had to get other people in to see it because they just weren't believing me. This is an amazing course. Something's going on here, and I'm really happy that Sue could join us last year, and hopefully this year as well. We're going to work out something too. But the amazing thing is also that the students got to go to Spain. They got to go to Genealogia. They got to make custom fabrics with a jacquard specialist as well, for 496 Fabric Lab. So, and work with some of the best fabrics. Even Candiani supplied us with their ITMA awarded fabric, which just got its award. So basically, we were very lucky, really. So how the project started off actually just at the beginning of the 10 weeks, was basically Andrew gave a talk to all of the students explaining the concept behind Kingpins and his own story, just to give a bit of context to just so the students knew that they can't fudge it. They have to do it properly. They have to do all their research, because Andrew gave his guidelines of what his Kingpin show is about, and if you're designing a collection, this is what it should be about. I gave a little denim history talk as well, which I always do. Sue Barrett gave a couple of talks and also mentored the students throughout the 10 weeks, as me too. And then also we had the students went to Genealogia, as we mentioned. So we actually nominated the students, because we can't have all 100 students going to Spain. It would have been great, but we didn't do that. So we basically found out which students wanted to go, which groups were interested in going. So the students actually sort of nominated themselves, and then they had to give like a report back to all of the other students about the like requirements if they wanted to do anything with laser finishing and sustainable like washing. We also had like 14 Steinberg came, and Sabine she actually came and she taught all of the 100 students, or was it just your own group, your own like Textile Futures?
She gave a talk to all the students, to the whole kind of university, and then our students from Fashion Accessories had individual kind of tutorials with her, where she went through the work, well, besides from the project, and then just giving them advice on how to
sort of like mentorship, really, right?
Yes,
so it was like
exactly.
helping them out, because each of the groups, obviously we didn't mention this right at the beginning, most of these students, they're not friends with each other. They were put into groups like by like default, right? Gabby, were you involved in that? How does that work?
Yes, the project starts with something called Project Pitch, which we actually ask the students to go around in set small groups, discipline groups, and then meet other courses, and then they have to pitch their work and sort of find each other, and then on that day they choose who they're going to be working with. So they're put into their own course discipline, but they have to go and find their own designers or their own buyers. So They have a sense of agency in that respect, and they also try and sort of align and gel on their current thinking about sustainability or design concepts, or where they want to take the project in the future.
Because obviously there were certain designers that had certain ideas and certain buyers that had certain ideas, so it's just making sure. Obviously, it's like being any type of brand or company, you always come across people that sometimes have different ideas, and you're trying to get one idea through. So it's a really interesting sort of project. There's not many designers at that young stage get to do that kind of work. But anyway. Well,
definitely 3 or 4 designers working together as well. So they have to collaborate together on their concept, which is obviously part of Gurmit's and Sabine's remit. But that's when they can do that successfully, it is quite spectacular.
Then what kicked off the actual project for me was our Transformers Ed educational conference that we did, and sort of Chloe was a major force behind actually all of this, really, and putting it all together. But it was amazing because we got to, Andrew basically came, I think it was like nine months before. He came to one of our judging events like kind of like before, and he goes, wouldn't it be great is before you start the next project, I bring in all of my friends and I have the students for one day, and we go through everything through the whole process of from cotton to like sort of manufacturing. So when the students begin their project, they're a bit more, they've got all the tools, or they know certain things already. So that was amazing. So we got all these speakers in, and they all came in, which is amazing. And Chloe, do you want to go into a little bit about it? Obviously, we've got pictures and things of the event too, but anything that you found from the event that was challenging or you enjoyed?
I think it was a great opportunity, as well as for students to hear from industries, but really be part of an event. Throughout the whole day, students were involved from the filming of it, because it was broadcast live throughout the day, and it's now on YouTube. Am I right now?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And for them to really see sort of, putting on something like Kingpin Transformers and seeing how the industry all worked together to put something on. So that was really interesting. It was challenging at times, of course, but yeah, really
putting
rewarding.
Any event is challenging. I think it was more of a logistical thing. I was really excited that the university were happy to open it up to other, not just for our course. Because obviously, Andrew said to me, it's like, Mohsin, if we did it at Ravensbourne, could more people come to it? And I went, I just have to ask. And you guys were really cool about it. And open it. I think more than 300 students came from, I think, like 35 different colleges. It was like, as well as our 100 students, it was loads more. So it was really cool. And we're going to do, hopefully, fingers crossed, another one in like October. amazing about that video is obviously like sort of like Chloe, you can actually say this, but the whole thing, the whole event, not only was it was filmed by students, it was recorded by students, all the sound guys, it was all students that did the entire thing. That's what's great about coming to a university rather than putting it on yourself and hiring everyone from outside. It's all students that did it.
Yeah, a great mix of skill sets, not just fashion students, but, you know, film, you know, TV students all coming together to produce something really unique and amazing. So yeah, you can see from that film that they're very talented.
Very talented. I was so completely shocked by that. And I thought it was like a really great production. But yeah, absolutely right. So soon after the Kingpin Transformers ED event finished, we uploaded all of the videos for every speaker, which was amazing. And students still watch them now, which is great. And we're going to carry on doing that.
Can I say something about that?
Yeah,
Mohsin?
please.
I was just going to say, because the students, so on the fashion buying side, they had to investigate the supply chains, the manufacturing and sustainability. So the fact that they got to hear from all of these key speakers in the industry who have the knowledge about the most innovative developments in sustainability was key to them actually working through the project. So Andrew was really keen that we put the UN SDGs into the project, and also that we had a complete focus on what does sustainability mean to the industry, whereas last year possibly it was quite broad the way the students investigated it. This year they were asked to be really critical and investigate it in a really critical manner.
I think what's amazing is that all the students figured out all the sourcing issues, all the like sort of like logistics of, if we're going to make in Turkey, then we need to find everything in Turkey. We can't just ship it all over the place.
Exactly.
Post-COVID, there's going to be a lot more of that, I'm sure. Everyone's going to be more conscious about how things are made and where things
Exactly.
But this was a very special event, and I'm really proud that we did it. It's a benchmark, really, of how a fashion course should be run, by having industry events right at the beginning of every project. We're very lucky. Okay, so then... anything else that anyone wants to add?
I was going to say that actually the people that I've spoken to who were at the event that were sort of industry people, designers or what have you, found the event so incredibly insightful, because it really taught, I think when you go to a lot of events, people expect that you have already got a grasp of what's happening in the industry, and it really brought it down to absolute bottom line. This is the industry explained in a perfect unit. So it was so clearly put together, and it was a beautiful execution. And, you know, you could kind of take that and just repeat it exactly as it was. It just bottom lined what was going on and what you need to know. An amazing education.
Everything from cotton to spinning to polyester to tencel to different ways of spinning. It was unbelievable. Then all the way to sustainable finishing and washing. It was pretty much everything. Obviously, but
it was so clearly executed.
And I think everyone had that clear 20 minutes, so it wasn't too daunting. It wasn't that heavy, I found. Obviously, it was fun for me. But then straight after Transformers, we had, I think, 9 weeks of like development, and had three different formatives. So during those sort of formatives, we had industry come in as well. So we had a few people come in, even Carme from like Geologia came as well, and me and Sue came in, and a few other, every week it was slightly different. And what's amazing about these formatives is that we got to see right at the beginning their students' concepts, where they were literally concepts on a blackboard or a wall, all the way down to the drawing stage, to the removal stage, to the pattern cutting stage. And I think, Sue, you came in quite a lot of those as well, and it must have been quite fun to see it from the beginning. Like, I've seen it a few times, but for yourself, it must have been fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And just seeing how, like, you know, those light bulb moments for the students where they were connecting all these different elements and kind of just giving them a tiny bit, and then them going off into a whole different arena and pulling stuff back together. But also watching their sort of, like, you know, the politics of their groups unfold and in a lot of places really blossom. It was fantastic.
It's
like a sitcom every week.
It was a sitcom every week.
Denim sitcom.
I think that Sabine, there's a lot of interesting fabric uses, a lot of different technologies these students were using, having a bonding and burning, to even making garments in a different way. I think a lot of it came from some of your groups, some of your students. But anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, students were actually like introduced to weaving through that unit, which was quite special. And then they also, because we don't really have like like jacquard looms in our facilities, but then we actually were able to have like table looms for the students to somehow try and figure out like a couple of like weaving techniques, which was absolutely fantastic. And some of them came up with like, really great ideas.
Sorry. One of them was Bossa even like supplied yarn, I believe, right?
Yes, Bossa was like, yeah, super helpful and sent us like millions of cones of yarns.
Yeah, I guess you still got enough for like next time.
Yeah, which is amazing. So yeah, and students are still keep on using it, which is great.
Yeah, no, these formatives were really fun to be a part of, and you know, and it was fun always seeing the progress. Even I think there were some stages where, you know, I convinced one of the groups to cancel the garment, and that happened to be the winning group. So I was quite naughty for me, going, I think you should just drop this garment, and they were the ones that won. So sometimes these formatives do help, I think so. But yeah, less is more sometimes too. Anyway, so then, of course, after the 10 weeks finished, then we had our judging event, which was quite also a mega event, and we managed to document that too. And we got basically the cream of we introduced, I think it came from Gabby or came from Gurmit. Everyone who sponsored the course, they automatically became a judge. That's what we thought was a good idea. And in the end, everyone turned up, right, Gabby? So we're like, oh my God. So they were that excited about the project. I think only 3 people didn't come, and that was like Carabo, Alberto Candiani, and Bossa. Other than that, everyone involved with the project, was sponsoring, came. Plus, we had a few other people from the industry. We had Sam from Denim Dudes. We had Kelly Harrington, and I think that was it. And then we had Katie from YKK, Vintage Showroom. And that was
so
it.
they were all judges from the previous year as well. So we wanted them to see the kind of the movement in the project going forward. So it's really important that we had their kind of like industry stance, as well as the people who'd obviously sponsored the fabrics as well.
No, we were extremely lucky. So obviously now let's go through each of the groups quite quickly. So this is Guild. Is it Guild? I've forgotten how to pronounce them. Gilda. And these guys, I believe, are the ones that actually won the project, right? So that's amazing. And their pattern cutting skills were amazing, I actually thought. And I thought everything was thought of, even down to the fact that they didn't want to use cotton thread. They used like linen thread. It was really insane amount of detail. And I think that's probably what won it. All of us were like, wow, by the level of this project. I don't know if any of you guys want to jump in about it, but
I think for me, I loved the fact that, you know, the narrative behind so many of these groups, but this group particularly, their narrative and the engaging values that they put in place. It wasn't just like the normal sustainable values, but there was something so much more. And the narrative was so engaging.
They were very particular about which fabric mill they wanted to sponsor, because obviously we didn't give any of the students much choice. I think it was between Gabby and Gurmit decided, okay, you're getting cone, you're getting whatever, just depending on what their project was saying to them, right? But these guys were very particular, Gabby. They were saying it had to be a British mill, right? That's what they were saying.
The students had to pitch for their sponsors, and then we assigned them in that way. But they were very set from the very beginning that they wanted something local to the UK, because they were going to work on this local community-based brand idea, where they would be teaching their local customers how to mend, repair, make, almost like reduce and reuse as well. So even more sort of like pertinent in the current climate. But they were very keen on having, something that was made in the UK, so that they could just transport it down to London, keeping the transport.
I just thought the make was amazing. I just thought I was blown away by it. All their skills were making, but all the groups were amazing. They all did really clever cutting. So let's go to the next group. It says Y. I think Y, how they pronounce it.
Yeah,
These guys use the Candiani sort of ITMA awarded fabric, which is amazing. And also nearly every group was sponsored by like YKK as well. So YKK, I believe, even made custom trims for some of the groups, I believe. But that's this group here. Anything anyone wants to add about this group that they cannot remember from the judging event?
Oh, they had some really interesting laser cutting techniques and some reflective techniques, which they added to the fabric, because it was this concept of like being seen and then not being seen and making yourself visible at night. And then also the Candiani fabric was like laser cut into as well, to give it sort of like a different level of texture as well.
Yeah, that particular fabric is only using like sort of like recycled cotton and like tensile lysol, so it's one of the most it's probably one of the most sustainable denim fabrics that's ever been produced up until now. So we're very lucky to get that sponsored. That's cool.
The thing that I loved about that particular project, the Y project, was, which isn't something you see in the end result, was all of the research that they did into their consumer.
Yes.
And like, who was their consumer? What's the current identity for that consumer in the marketplace? And all about, you know, being part of the hood. And it was so beautiful, the research that went into it, and the validation of why their brand would matter in that particular mindset.
I know, it's sad, isn't it, that all this work and always showing is 3 slides per group, and we've had the benefit of seeing the entire project and seeing all the research and you know, and some of it, and obviously that's the thing about having a physical shows, like these students would have actually gone to present their work and would have sketchbooks and everything out. So, you know, obviously there are ways, it's just testing time of how to present work now, and obviously sometimes you do only have 3 pictures to sell a concept, and it's getting that mindset. You know, I remember doing a presentations when I was younger. If you can't do it in 3 pictures, you can't sell it. It's no point. You know, it was like literally that hard. It's like 3 pictures only. I was like, wow. So very difficult task. But some of the projects, especially this one in like sort of particular, yeah, the research behind it was unbelievable. Then we have this group here. I think this group here was this the parachute collection? I call it the parachute one, but yeah, I think it was. And I think these guys came 4th in the end. It was very upsetting. But for us, but it was the judging event was really hard. We all found it so difficult. Did these come 4th, or did they make it? No, I think they would have made
no,
it.
there wasn't really a 4th place, but I know that their video, their brand, and also the fact that they had sourced a secondhand parachute and hung it from the ceiling in the
we've got pictures of that coming. But again, stunning collection how it was made, especially with all the pleating and all the garments and the use of like the whole sort of reversible stuff too. I think I've got a video of them, so let's try and see if we can play it.
In the darkness, she'll disappear. Running voices all around. They come in lonely nights, in places once alive. Now bullets fly and freedom soars.
Yeah. Anyway, any thoughts on that collection, guys? After seeing that video, what you thought about it? Nothing much. I was quite blown away by it. Actually, I thought the video was amazing. I thought the garments were made really, really well, and I felt sorry for them as a group. But there were so many judges, and it was really tough. I thought it was a really tough one. But the right people did win. But yeah, these guys were just on the fringe, I actually thought. Right. The next group was interesting, was Sacraco, and they're one of the groups that got 496 Fabric Lab to sponsor their collection. And it transformed everything the moment we saw the fabric, right, Sue? Would you agree? I was like, you know.
Yeah. I mean, I love the concept right from the beginning. It was all about going into the church and not so much about religion, but it was about sacred. So, you know, I mean, I'm always hooked into a good narrative. It was a beautiful story. And I know that they were having issues in sort of connecting as a group. So when we saw the end product, the way they put it together, it was stunning.
Yeah, you'd never know they had issues as a group because it was so well put together.
Yeah, but it was beautiful, and their commitment to working together was fantastic.
Yeah, they also did a shoot as well in a church. They really did try and sort of like pull in those sacred spaces and those ideas. And yeah, obviously 496 actually got the design, wove up the jacquard, and sent it back to the UK in a 3-week turnaround, which was quite impressive.
It is impressive. That's what's great about the industry support for this actual project. So yeah, and he's wanted to be involved with the project for a couple of years, hasn't he? So he's always a bit, why aren't I involved in this project every time I saw him? So it's quite funny. So the next group was Milu. This group was interesting because they did a lot of damage-like repair and a lot of finishing. They were coating their fabrics as well. Some of it even looked like leather, and sort of like leatherette in the end, which is really, really cool. But they were focusing a lot more on like climate, I believe. I don't know if anyone wants to say anything about
like protection, actually. So it was around the idea that sort of like protecting yourself from pollution and from weather and these really kind of like key issues that we're having within the climate, and actually taking that sort of like high-end luxury consumer who's almost like a conscious creative or a conscious environmentalist who wants to protect themselves. So that's when they ended up basically, sort of like applying these different finishes to their cone denim fabric.
It was made so well as well. So many eyelets and like sort of rivets and buttons. I was amazed by how, you know, because when you start doing that, everything starts growing and becomes really heavy. Then we have Enigma, and these guys were unbelievable because these ones were actually like weaving quite a lot of things. I think they even made shoes as well, to my understanding.
No, that wasn't the shoe. They only
had the bag.
They had the bag.
The student Sarah actually made her own loom, so she created the loom in a bigger scale to be able to do the backpack in that way.
Wow.
To be able to weave that big piece, which is great.
Yeah, this one sort of visually looks quite amazing. And these guys were sponsored by like Neela, which was cool. Then we had Ephemere, and these guys were in the runners-up. They came second or third, this particular group. And these guys were amazing because they had a collection where they wanted to concentrate on no waste patterns, I believe, if that's correct. And so they were using 77 centimeters, is that right?
77 or 78 cm.
Oh, yeah, so depending on the salvage, and they retrofitted all their patterns so there was no waste, and they origamied half their collection like together, and yeah, rightly so. They were in the top three.
The way that they presented it, where they had the glass jars and it showed, you know, the zero waste from the jacket, and then the tiny little bits from the jumpsuit. It was beautiful the way that they kind of like visually displayed their concept.
I think all of the students, all of the groups did amazing stuff with their waste. They were all making hang tags out of it, and they were all very conscious about the waste of the leftover bits. But these guys took it to a whole new level, really. They literally showed half the group up where they're like, we're going to design patterns that is no waste. And that to me is really future. That's like how it should be. But yeah, so these guys were amazing. And then we have Pre. Now this group, they did get their fabrics laser finished by like sort of like Ginaja, I believe. They had none of their mountain stuff.
Because they had the gradient.
The gradient, yeah. It might not be on this photo shoot because it was on probably prior to this. I think they did it like a couple of days before the judging event. But their fabrics were like Carabo, and they were sponsored by like sort of Ginaja. And these garments were amazing, like proper outerwear pieces from level 2, second year students making full garments like this. It was quite shocking seeing it. All of us were like, wow. And I think their presentation skills for this group were amazing as well.
Yeah, and they're kind of like brand concept, and I think they even had an Instagram that they'd set up so that they had, you know, their front of house was just as incredible as their garments.
Yeah, they just needed that funding to actually go ahead with the brand. Really.
Yeah,
they're pretty much ready to go,
ready to run.
Yeah,
the app was actually a really nice invention, because that would also show you, I think it was like showing you where all the fabric would actually come from, and like you could somehow track and trace what the whole kind of garment, how it was made, where all the pieces are from, which was actually super clever.
Yeah,
amazing. Then we had Saiho. So these guys also used the Carabo selvage, I believe, but they used it in a really clever way. They're hiding some of it. They also made some amazing long outerwear pieces. let's see what they were saying. Capsule collection taken from Eastern Heritage. Yes, that's right. So these guys were ones who were
Beautiful
about
mood boards.
beautiful mood boards. Oh my God, it was like farming, old Japanese farming tradition, and taking it into a new way. And I thought, yeah, stunning. Yeah.
Heavily Japanese inspired, so they were always after getting karabu a fabric. And yeah, their cape is the raincoat was inspired by the Japanese waterproof coat, so they took their concepts very seriously.
No, amazing, and amazingly finished as well. And all of these guys had great illustrations as well, which we're not presenting here. You know, they all did such good drawings as well, and concept boards. Then we have this group here. I can't remember how to pronounce them.
Unitaria.
There we go. And these guys were really good about their customer profiles. All of them did really amazing profile work about who their person was, who they're designing for. And I think these guys were one of them that we were, as judges, quite impressed by it as well. But yeah, these guys were sponsored by Bossa.
And the student created the boots for these ones as well.
Oh, yes. Wow.
Yeah.
No, and she made two in the end. I think unbelievable. She knocked out two. I think in the presentation, or one of the formatives, she had one, and we said, please make two, and she did it. Yeah, quite amazing. And then this is like sort of like Elysium. These guys did, I don't know, the fabric information. Were these guys sponsored by Bossa or Cone? I've forgotten. One of the mills.
I can't remember off the top of my head. Elysium, though, were 7 students that were from 7 different countries. They pulled together all those different heritages. So it was Bangladesh and Vietnam, like Wales, all over. And they pulled that all together to create their concept of their brand.
Quite a unique way of making a collection. You don't really see this kind of way. I guess you see it sometimes in some ways, but yeah, it was a really interesting way of making a collection. Could be successful, could not be. It's like, you know, it's one of these hard things to manage, but some of the garments were quite wearable and quite avant-garde, really. Yeah, it's Elysium. Then we had Whitley and Monk. These guys are all about heritage and English workwear and millineries and old like machines, I believe. Sue, if you can remember, these guys all.
I remember their mood boards were brilliant because it had a real sort of industrial kind of labour and weight kind of identity that you could see absolutely landing in the market and being a really really successful menswear concept.
Yeah, really clean.
And matched with this beautiful artistic fabric. It was just the perfect thing because it looks quite blue in the screen, but it was beautiful sort of grey blue shades.
I think this
really stood out.
Particular sort of fabric, Ebru from Artistic Milliners was saying that it's been finished with a like genealogia machine, so it's even more eco than most fabrics, really. How it's actually being presented. So when you buy it, it's already been less waters that actually like touched it. So that's one of the positive things about this particular fabric, from what I can remember. But yeah, really beautiful. And it's C2 or is it C11? I think it's C2.
C22.
Oh, excuse me. See, I got it wrong. These guys were also like Karabo fabric sponsors, and Fabric Lab also. These ones were all about social and was it about?
It's like political protest, a bit of activism.
Yeah. We got pictures of this coming up soon, where it was some of the jacquards, the political messages of the jacquards were unbelievable. And
they got to do their final presentation on the day of the election, so they could like bring everything in.
That's it.
Basically.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was brilliant actually. And then there was some pictures from there. So this is actually one of the collections. This is the origami one.
FMA,
yeah. And this is from pictures from our judging event, and it was really touch and go. You know, it was all of us. Some of us weren't agreeing. I think Micheal and some of us were like saying no. It was really tough, and I think you guys, like Gabby, you guys was in the background, obviously, because you know, it was really touchy, really hard. But,
everyone got very passionate, didn't they? They were like really passionate. Really got behind some of the concepts.
Yeah, no, it was an amazing event. You know, a real groundbreaking thing that we managed to do, and it's a shame that we can't present it in the way that we normally would do. But hopefully this presentation just gives a little glimpse of some of the work that we're doing in like the UK and hey Sue, but you know how serious we all took it. It's not just designing garments that don't make any sense, that aren't wearable. It was like, you know, I remember Micheal in particular was like saying, but this isn't commercial, this isn't meeting the brief. Why should they be in the top 3? It was really, but we said, oh, but it's so creative, and all of us were, even, you know, there's here's Ebru like really like panic stricken, going no, you know. So we were always on our edges about how this was going. And yeah, as one of the collections, that was amazing how it was presented. Each of them presented in a very small space, probably probably like a 3x2 space that you would do, like half the size of a normal booth that you get at a trade show. Okay, some of them had screens, but it's like, but really nicely like presented and beautiful collections. And we had some really amazing comments as well from some of the actual judges afterwards. And what I'll do is there's Gurmit as well, and Andrew. And then I had lots of comments from a lot of the judges. So we did a little questionnaire. Actually, Trisha from like Textile actually gave some questions to a lot of them because she's writing it on her own blog. And I managed to get a lot of the feedback that everyone actually said. So I've got it all here. So if you want to pause it, you can read it as well. But I think there's a lot more. Hopefully more of us to come. We're only in our year 5 because of COVID. We don't know what's going to happen next year, but fingers crossed. From October, we're going to be doing it bigger and better. We're going to hopefully do a mini Kingpin show. So the first in like in the UK for about 20 or 30 mils, and we're going to do the 3rd Transformers as well, and hopefully do this innovation project again. Thank you so much for all of your time today. Hopefully you enjoyed the time. And sorry it ran over. I'm going to edit it back so we'll manage to make it fit. But thank you for your time, and hopefully we get to do this all again.
Mohsin, I'd definitely like to say, obviously, just again and publicly, just a massive thank you to all of the sponsors and all of the judges, and also to yourself and Sue, for all the time you've both, given to our students as well. So I know we all just want to say a huge thank you because it helps.
It was such a huge pleasure. I enjoyed so much being part of it.
It feeds us as well, giving back to students and them doing really great things by making collections that use no wastage, or they're really clever of how they present, and literally it's a complete pleasure. If anything, I want to make it bigger and have days where we talk about branding and labeling and trims properly. There's so many things that we could make bigger. 10 weeks isn't even enough, but we're doing so much already for these second years. But it's an amazing project, and many more people need to know about it. But thank you so much.
And I think also because the industry is changing so much. It's like we've in the 20 odd years that I've been in denim, it's changed an enormous amount. But there's an absolutely huge and critical tipping point to the way that design will go forward. So to bring in sustainability and to bring in the learnings that are happening in an event like this is just critical, because the education of future designers is so much different from how it's been over the last 5 years.
Even how
and that was really highlighted in this, I think.
I think even how we sample and make garments, like there's so many bigger companies that are trying to not even make a single thing now and do it all like digital or like digitally. So it's like, like Sabine in your own course, I'm sure you guys are touching on making stuff that's not even touching a loom or not even touching any fabric, and all like virtual really, until you press go, then someone in the virus makes it. It's like it's cutting down costs in a clever way, in a different way. So that's the way it's going as well.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, thank you for your time, and give ourselves a clap, and hopefully see you guys in like October.
Yeah, hope to speak before then.
Bye guys.
Bye.